It started one day while I was working at UPS for a little over a year at the time. It was around Thanksgiving. They had promised to let us go home early that day so they could see our families for the holidays. Then a little bit around lunchtime, they came back and said we're going to have to work a 12-hour shift after we've already been doing 12 hours all week, trying to compensate for us getting off early that day. And that was kind of the turning point for me. I just simply couldn't handle it anymore. I quit work that very same day, and then the next day I was at the Air Force recruiting office, and then not even 3 hours later I had already signed up and to join the United States Air Force. So fast forward 6 months later, I was saying goodbye to my loved ones to get on the plane to go to San Antonio to start my career as a United States Airman. During the whole time when I was flying, I was extremely nervous and was second guessing my decision the whole time. I was on those planes. I just wanted to turn back, wanted to go back see my family. But whenever we landed in San Antonio, they had us get onto a bus and drive us to the base. It was about 20 minutes away. But once we had arrived, actually at the basic training facility, the MTIs got on the bus, and then I knew for sure I was convincing myself it was the worst thing I've ever done in my entire life. So go through that, fast forward 7 weeks later, we were ready to graduate after long, hard, strenuous work. I still remember that day like it was yesterday. We started out getting up early morning around 5:30. We lined up to get ready to do the airman's run, which is basically just running, saying we've completed basic training. This was the first chance we got to see our family. Like I said, but we were running the whole time. So even if you could catch a glimpse, that's all we wanted to see. Everybody in my flight. I did catch a glimpse of my family as we ran by. It was the best feeling in the world. So whenever we did that airman's run, we sprinted back as fast as we could to get into the dorms to put on our crisp new uniforms that we'd been working on basically all 7 weeks to get ready for that one day. Once we get everything ready, we get lined up, we march out onto the drill pad. It was a midsummer day when I graduated in Texas. It's super hot, sweat running down my face, and you couldn't, if you're at position of attention, you can't touch your face or anything. So it's kind of hard to do. But once we got into position out on the drill pad, they performed all the ceremonies that they have to do, and then after that, they let our families down to the drill pad, release us. This is the first time we've talked to them. We talked to them on the phone for maybe a minute, 2 times throughout that 7 weeks, and this was the first time we actually got to see them in person. 7 weeks, and during that time you just had to sit there and wait for them to find you and tap you out. That was probably the most anticipation I've ever been in. I was just super excited, couldn't really hold it together, but once they finally tapped me out, they'd hugged me and congratulated me, and then I knew that this is why I did it. This is why I went through all that struggle. That's why I put myself through the 7 weeks of constant stress and worrying that I may have not been good enough to do this type of work. That's just a moment that I'll always forget in my life, that I'll never forget in my life, and it was just worth every minute.